Hello everybody, here we are today talking about Alex Ovechkin, who is set to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks with a broken fibula, and why this is a big deal that he's out of the lineup. So before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So I think we kind of already expected there to be some bad news regarding Ovi and a leg injury, as he was listed as week to week, but the hammer really did come down yesterday night as we got the news that Ovechkin could miss a month and a half of games, and this is big to lose a player that's so iconic as him. I'm sure for TV ratings as well and whatnot, but I think there's a lot of reasons that are big in a normal hockey sense, with the primary one being, of course, the chase for Wayne Gretzky's goal record does get postponed a little bit here. It still feels like it's relatively safe that Ovi's going to pass number 99, but this is something where instead of it possibly happening this year, it'll probably get pushed off the next season. I didn't even think it was going to happen this year, but when he has 15 goals in 18 games, you start to say, well, he's just 26 games away, 26 goals, I should say, from Wayne Gretzky's record, tying it and then passing it. So then you start to realize maybe with a Renaissance season, Ovi could go out there and do it this year. Instead, now, again, it'll probably be pushed forward, and it kind of is still something that I'm excited about, mainly because it's a record being broken, but I also think that he'd be able to score more goals in fewer games. It's going to be hard to do, but it is still possible, but something that, again, probably isn't going to happen by this season. And then the second reason that's probably not as big of a deal for a lot of people, but it's certainly something that does bum me out a bit here, is with him missing about a month and a half and possibly even more, Ovechkin probably won't win the Rocket or be in contention by the end of the year. Right now, at the time of recording this, he actually leads the league in goals, and it is something where it would have been really thrilling to see him go out there and win it. While he's already done it 9 other times, to do it for a 10th time would just be, again, another feather in the cap for Ovechkin, and something that would be amazing to see a 39-year-old not only go out there and lead the league in goals, but possibly go out there in the same season, lead the league in goals, and then pass the #1 all-time goal scorer in NHL history all in 1 year. Ovechkin could have had all this in one season, and there would have been an insane documentary about it. And it's something, too, that you look at is possibly being the last big push for Ovechkin to win another Rocket. He hasn't won one since the 2019-20 season, and you'd have to imagine that with a hot start to this year, being, again, probably an anomaly, next year might be his last best chance, but even then there's no guarantee that it could happen. Again, we're already seeing an injury right now impacting him for this season. Who's to say something like that doesn't happen in the future? So it's just more of a bummer thinking about what if and what could have been. Maybe he goes out there, who knows, and comes back and just goes on a monster tear and does get that elusive 10th Rocket, but we might have already seen it happen. And again, as somebody that got to watch him go out there and win the other 9, I want to see him go out there and get that 10th, because that'd be about 1 every other season. I know it doesn't line up perfectly like that, but that would be a major accomplishment to say basically half the time that he was in the NHL, he was leading the league in goals for a season. Now, the third reason relates more to the standings, as the Washington Capitals are off to a great start this season with 13 wins in their first 18 games and are now losing a guy that's averaging about a goal per game. Ovechkin, being a veteran guy that is providing leadership, that has been with this team for a long time and still producing at a Rocket competing level, is absolutely a huge loss in the short term. And while good teams shouldn't topple thanks to the loss of just one player, it would probably be understandable if they did slip up a little bit. They weren't going to play at this year, or this pace, I should say, all year anyway, but I am kind of curious to see how things will go for them in this time, and we might do a video in the future, again, that's going to be whenever he comes back, about how the team performed without him and see if it was better or worse. If it's better, that would be absolutely crazy, but in general for Washington, I'm just watching out more to see if they're still capable of being a top 3 team competing-wise in the Metro for this pace, or if they maybe take a step back or can kind of hang out there again. I don't think that they go out there and win the division by any means, but they do have a good test here in the next few weeks, and I do think it's kind of a weird sign, if you will, possibly a bad omen. They did just lose to the Colorado Avalanche tonight, 2-1, only scoring 1 goal, but on the flip side of that, I just did a video yesterday night about the Colorado Avalanche, how they are turning around. They have now got wins in 6 out of their past 8 games. Another team that is getting reinforcements. Valeri Nichushkin just returned, and I'm not going to really be looking into one game just too much, but if Washington does slide, we could be looking at this and saying, oh, Ovi was gone, that kind of explains it. And then if he returns and the return of the form comes back for the team, then we could say, correlation, causation, and whatnot and all that. But just something to watch out for here, as I do think, again, New York, especially like maybe the Rangers, would be kind of happy about this, saying maybe we could pounce on this opportunity. And just for good measure here, we'll throw in kind of a bonus why this is a big deal. You are seeing a player that has played in a ton of NHL games. that is old, dealing with one of the more significant injuries possibly of his career. This is not really a laughing matter, if you will, or a joking matter about how serious this could be for him. And you would hate to see this kind of hinder him towards the back end of his NHL career. I mean, we're not fooling ourselves here. He's in the final days of his playing time in the league. And I kind of would be shocked if he ended up playing maybe past next season, but definitely the season after that. So with him still having all this great achievements and accolades, and even having what we've seen this year all being in front of us, that's great. But that doesn't mean that I want it to kind of end in a fizzle, which we could possibly see next season, or with how things are going if he comes back from this injury and struggles. Maybe that'd be what we see for the entirety of the remainder of his career, and that would just be a big bummer. You want to see these stars that have been so great for so long go out on top, and I know we've seen plenty of top tier guys in the NHL that fade on the back end of their career. If Ovi was able to compete for the Rocket for the final years of his career, that would just be incredible, as he's probably going to go out there and pass 900 goals for his career too. I think if things kind of continue on that trend, but he is, again, battling father time here and dealing with something that could impact him for sure in the coming years. So yes, Alex Ovechkin is going to be out for not too long, but long enough for us to notice his absence. And there are things that are going to be, again, impacted by this goal record chasing, and me kind of just being a baby and saying, oh man, this is terrible that he's not going to be able to compete for the Rocket again, as well as things like team standings, which I'm sure are important for fans of Washington, as well as everybody that is in or around that playoff conversation out east. So it is something that we did need to talk about. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think the Washington Capitals will be all right without Alex for 4 to 6 weeks, if not possibly longer? And do you think that Ovi will be able to return and come back to form even after dealing with something this late in his career? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hockey, all right. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.